Shamrock Shuffle 5K. So that's going to be on Saturday, March the 12th. That'll be in the great city of Burnside. We'll be hosting that down there. Hopefully everybody will be coming out to that. This warm weather has been very good for the race. We've had almost 100 people sign up in the last 2 days. So go ahead and get registered for that. You can go to our website and all the information is there, or you can go to shamrockshuffleky.com and you can sign up that way. Also, I want to thank our information tables that are here today. Hopefully everybody's taken a second to walk around and talk with these organizations and businesses. This is a free service that we provide for our membership, so I would encourage everybody to check those guys out. And if you'd like an information table, please feel free to go ahead and let us know, and we can get you one of those. But I want to recognize all the info tables that are here today. Cumberland Nursing and Rehabilitation, Benchmark Family Services, Lindsay Wilson College, Unite Us, SPEDA, Bluegrass Senior Living, Holiday Inn Express, First Choice Clinic, Cumberland Falls State Park, Somerset Community College, Coca-Cola Bottling Company, First and Farmers National Bank, Don Franklin Family of Dealerships, Campbellsville University, United Way of South Central Kentucky, Slim Chickens, Lake Cumberland Regional Hospital, Chick-fil-A, Lake Cumberland Recovery, the March of Dimes, and Somerset 106 Radio. Let's give all these guys a big round of applause. So I'm not going to steal my chamber president's thunder, but I'm very excited that we've kicked off our brand new Rise Women's Leadership Initiative today, and I'm going to let her tell us a little bit about that. But today was the official kickoff for that. What better day to do that than a chamber luncheon? So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and ask my boss, our 2022 chamber president, Ms. Tiffany Finley, to please come forward and lead us home in this luncheon.
We will call this meeting to order. What an exciting luncheon is today. I want to welcome all of our guests, our public officials, their reps, and all of our members. Let's also take some time to recognize our world-class chairman and ambassador circle sponsors. They should be on your table and also up here on the wall. We can't do what we do without them, so let's give them a big round of applause. I want to thank the Center for Rural Development, Lonnie Lawson, I know you're here right in front of me. Thank you for providing the space for us today to be able to accommodate all these awesome people. Karen's Catering and Event Planning, thanks for the wonderful meal. It's themed today for Mardi Gras, which is pretty cool. And then our beverage sponsor, Coca-Cola Bottling of Somerset. So let's give them a round of applause, please. Like Bobby said, our Chamber Rise program is kicked off today. About 50% of you probably received an email, and the rest is coming about our Rise program. This is for any ladies out there with the Chamber that want to be a leader in their business or in their community. We're going to meet, it's about every 2 months or so for a couple of hours. Our next meeting, our first meeting, will be April 22nd from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Farmers Market. We're going to have Terry Tuttle from Baxter's Coffee give our keynote address. We are going to learn how to change a tire, ladies, so make sure you dress accordingly. It should be a lot of fun, and if you want more information, please come up and see me after, and I'll make sure that you get the information that you need. Now we'll go to our new member business intros, and we'll have Lisa Phelps come up and do that.
We would like to welcome our new members. If you're in attendance, please stand to be recognized. Apple LLC, Frank and Sherry Beatty. Baker Dermatology, Dr. Brian Baker. Fiberglass Concepts, Kenvy and Jennifer Reese. Kentucky Army National Guard, David Hall. Lane Cow LLC, Eric Wilson. Misty Phillips Photography, Misty Phillips. Outreach for Jesus, Elsa Brown. Shell Tech LLC, Craig Knight. Charlene Epperson Taylor. Southern Wash LLC, Alex Bryant. Physician Select Therapeutic, Jamie Lee. Cumberland Furniture Outlet, Brett Gover and Chris Nelson. Let's give all our new members a round of applause. We appreciate your membership. Thank you.
Okay, now I'd like to recognize all of our amazing ambassadors. If you're a Chamber ambassador, please stand up so you can be recognized, and thank you so much for all you do for us. Okay, and this month's Chamber Ambassador of the Month is Kristen Whitson from the Job Shop. Okay. Both of our corporate sponsors today have deferred their time to Larry and Kenny, which is so awesome. I want to appreciate or thank them for that. First and Farmers, National Bank. I know Terry Pugh and Matt Washam's here. Thank you guys. Let's give them a hand. And Don Franklin Family of Dealerships was the other one and also deferred their time. I know Anna Mize and Lois Cox is here today, and thank you ladies for that. All right. Let's get to what we all came for. Larry Glover and Kenny Walker. Larry Glover is an award-winning radio host in Central Kentucky, winning the prestigious 2008 Kentucky Sportscaster of the Year award. Larry's career spans 25 years, where he has broadcasted minor league baseball play-by-play, sports talk radio with UK great Kenny Walker, and served as a member of the UK radio network for 5 seasons. Larry currently hosts a daily talk show on AM 590 WVLK in Lexington. Larry Glover Live addresses a variety of topics and talks with national newsmakers such as Dr. Anthony Fauci, Speaker of the House Paul Ryan, Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, to name a few. Kenny Skywalker is one of the greatest players to ever wear the Kentucky basketball jersey. Woo! Yep.
You probably did a better job
During
than I
his
would have done.
4-year career at UK, Walker scored 2,080 points, placing him second all-time in Wildcat history. Kenny was a 2-time consensus All-American and a 2-time SEC Player of the Year. Walker was drafted by the New York Knicks as the 5th overall selection in 1986. Kenny lived up to his college name of Skywalker, winning the 1989 NBA Slam Dunk Contest in Houston over hometown favorite Clyde Drexler, actually. Where Walker's legacy truly lives on is at the University of Kentucky. His number 34 jersey hangs in the rafters at Rupp Arena. Walker was the 2-time SEC Player of the Year and a consensus first-team All-American as a senior. He is the second on the Kentucky career scoring charts and made the All-SEC team all 4 years. Let's welcome Larry Glover and Kenny Walker.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Good job. Thank you.
Well, just to be clear, I'm Larry Glover. This is Kenny. First of all, thank you so much for having us today. This is great. Many of you may not realize, I know I host a radio program, but I actually do the show from my house here in Pulaski County. I live here. I've lived here for about 14 years. In fact, it'll be 14 years on Thursday. And my wife, Laura Glover, who works here at the Center for Development, our daughter, Katie, we live in Science Hill, and I do my show from a studio here in our home. And one of the great things about the 14 years that I've lived here is I've gotten a chance to see firsthand this community really blossom. In the 14 years, all the changes that have been made and how this community is really growing, and it's really impressive to see. And I know that the relationship between the Chamber of Commerce and the local businesses in conjunction with the Center for Rural Development has played a major, major role in the development of this community. It's amazing how far you've come, and I really look forward to seeing the future and what it looks like here in Somerset. So congratulations, it's a wonderful place to live. Thank you. One of the blessings about doing what I do is all the wonderful people that I get a chance to meet and get to interview. And sometimes you meet people that you really look up to. When I was a high schooler, thinking about going to college, my sister, who was a junior to be at UK, convinced me that UK was the right place because she convinced me that I would get to go see this guy play basketball for free. I was a big fan of Kenny Walker, and sometimes when you meet your heroes, they don't live up to what you think they'll be. But this guy exceeded everything I thought he would be. He was a great player, just a marvelous ambassador for the University of Kentucky, and really just a wonderful friend, one of my very, very best friends, and he's just a great guy, Kenny Skywalker.
Thank you, Larry. You know, I have a lot of history here in Somerset as well. My late great coach, and it's kind of hard to refer him as late. You know, we just lost Coach Joe B. Hall, you know, here a little over a month or so ago. And part of the man of who I am today, obviously my parents, you know, was very important in my upbringing. But to come to the University of Kentucky in the early 80s and to play for a guy like Joe B. Hall, who helped a little small town skinny kid from Georgia, didn't know quite what I was getting myself into with this crazy thing called Kentucky basketball. But to bring me in to help shape and mold me, not only just as a basketball player, which he did a tremendous job of doing, but to make me understand just how important it was from day one, what it was to put on that Kentucky uniform. And to not just, you know, represent the University of Kentucky, but to represent my family, represent the state of Kentucky. And of course, back then, we stayed in school for 4 years, and you all could see me grow and develop as a young man and become the guy that I am today. So I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Joe B. Hall and Leonard Hamilton, who recruited me out of Georgia. But having 4 years here to understand the history and tradition of UK basketball means just as much to me as it does to you guys, because the era that I played in, we will never get them again. You know, these guys are going to be gone after 1 or 2 years. I had 4 years of that. Not only just 4 years of college, even after I played in the NBA, here I am today, still living in the state of Kentucky. So thank you all for welcoming a small town kid from Roberta, Georgia to the state of Kentucky. I tell people I got Georgia on my mind, but I got an old Kentucky home. So glad to be here.
It's hard to top that. Kenny and I have been doing, how long have we been doing post-game shows? It's been like 13 or 14 years.
Probably longer than that.
Probably,
you know, we're getting a little older now, so I tend to forget about the years, but it's been a long time.
People who listen to our program, and by the way, we'll probably replay this tonight after the Ole Miss game, because it'll be a lot of the same stories and a lot of the same conversation points, but, you know, we have a little bit of a casual style. Kenny and I are friends, and sometimes we almost can read each other's minds as to what we're going to talk about and what the answers of the questions are going to be. And what we're going to do today is kind of talk a little bit about some of the stories that he and I have had and conversations we've had, and maybe some of the best questions that our listeners have asked you, and we'll talk a little bit about your career. And I want to start with what you just touched on a minute ago about it's a different era now than it was when you were playing. And I think what's interesting, Kenny, is You look at a guy like Ty Washington, who is a McDonald's All-American, and when he came to Kentucky, it was immediately assumed he would be gone in 6 or 7 months. You were a McDonald's All-American as well, but that wasn't sort of your mindset. You came here thinking, I'm a 4-year guy, or maybe 3-year guy, but I'm going to be here a while. I'm going to unpack. Or with these young guys today, they're kind of off and running. Talk about the recruitment of Kentucky, of you, and I think, as we've talked enough about, a turning point was when Leonard Hamilton and Joe B. Hall came to your home for your official visit.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I was recruited hard, you know, very good player coming out of high school. It was kind of tough growing up in Georgia because Georgia is known more as a football state. So even though I was a great player, named Player of the Year in Georgia my senior year of high school, there was a lot of people still questioning the fact that, you know, can you play at a school like the University of Kentucky? And all of the schools that were recruiting me at that time, Georgia Tech, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, Florida, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, North Carolina, a lot of good schools were recruiting me, and everybody was basically saying, you shouldn't go to the University of Kentucky. You're not going to be able to play there. They got all of these McDonald's All-Americans. You're going to sit on the bench, come and play for my school. And I remember when Coach Hall and Leonard Hamilton came in to recruit me, and they were pretty honest with me in their assessment of my talent. They said, look, son, we think that you can play. Can you go to these other schools and play and be a starter? You probably can. And I remember Coach Hall looking me in the eye and saying, look, we got Sam Bowie, we got Melvin Turpin, we got Charles Hurt, we got Derek Ford, we got all of these great players that play in your position. We believe that you can play, but you're going to have to come in and prove it. And my father loved that. I grew up on the farm all of my life. And my father has looked at Coach Hall and said, Coach, you're the first coach that have come in here and said that he's going to have to earn it. We don't want you to give Kenny anything, but if he deserves it, you got to give it to him. And I remember Coach Hall looking at my daddy and smiling and saying, Mr. Walker, I promise you, with Kenny's talent, if he comes in with the work ethic and if he earns it, we're going to give it to him. We're not going to give it. We're not going to just give it to him just to be giving it to him. And that made a big impression on my father, and I think I gained a lot of respect for Joe B. Hall on that particular day because basically what he was letting me know, I had to check my ego at the door. A little bit of reverse psychology, I think, to tell me that he wasn't going to give me anything unless I proved to him that I could do it. And that's what me and my family has always been about. Just given the opportunity to come and play for a place like Kentucky to prove yourself. And I can say this, he didn't give it to me initially because Larry, freshmen didn't play a whole lot, back then. My first 10 or 15 games, I played a little bit, here and there. Couldn't make a little noise when I got in the ball game, get a dunk here, get a block here and there, but nothing to get overly excited about. But after about 15 games, I earned that keep, played in some big ball games and did well, and the rest is history. But Joe B. Hall was a man of his word in terms of he wasn't going to give it to me, and I earned it. And I think in the return, I gained his respect because the one thing that he always told me that he liked about me was, son, you never complained about anything. You came in, you worked hard, you had a good attitude, and you earned it. I didn't give you anything. And he said, I'm glad that your daddy told me that because he knew what kind of player you were. So he never takes any credit for it, but I give him a lot of credit for that.
Now, that's something, the whole entire story, Kenny. I've heard the story many, many times. And you think you know where I'm going with this?
I know. Yeah.
How Joe B. Hall won your mom over? Tell that story.
Well, these coaches are really good. And my mother, just like all mothers, the sweetest lady in the world. So when Coach Hall and Leonard Hamilton, they came down to recruit me for the first time. You know, recruiting can kind of get to be long and drawn out. Coaches was talking, then my mom, all of a sudden, Coach Hall just stopped talking and we were talking about something. He smelled this smell coming out of the kitchen, and my mother was baking a peach cobbler. And Coach Hall stopped in kind of middle of whatever he was talking about, and he said, "What's that smell?" And my mom said, "I'm making a peach cobbler. Would you guys like to have some?" And Coach Hall and Leonard, "Oh yes, Miss Walker, we'd love to have some of that cobbler." Well, by the time they got finished eating that cobbler, it was the best cobbler they ever had. They were smiling, "Oh, Mrs. Walker, this is great cobbler, it's so good." And you could just see my mom, which she was an outstanding cook, and it probably was. I have to brag on my mom for that, but she had that big smile on her face, and she loved the compliments and stuff. I said, well, they won her over, you know, on the cobbler. You know, my dad was a little bit more tough. But so I'm thankful to be here today. Maybe not for my talent, but for my mom's peach cobbler. That's probably the reason why I'm here.
Most famous cobbler in UK basketball history. Kenny, you and I talk a lot, and people will call into the program and they will always bring up games that you played in. It strikes me as unusual that the games that come up the most often. I want to highlight a couple of your games that come up and have you talk a little bit about why you think it resonates with Kentucky fans. The first is a little obvious. It's the 1993 Mid-East Regional Finals. It was played in Stokely Athletic Center, which is a dungeon. You guys had no success there at all, so you probably thought that it was rigged immediately. When you found out that you were going to have to play Louisville for the first time in about 25 years, it's the dream game. Kentucky Louisville had a little bit of a Cold War going on. You were rivals, but you didn't play, and the NCAA selection committee decided to put you guys in the same region and sort of de facto make you play. And you played in Knoxville for the right to go to the Final Four, and as luck would have it, it went to overtime. I don't remember how it turned out exactly, but talk about that game, about leading up to it, because Joe did not want to play that game. He continued the policy that Rupp had about not playing state schools. Did you notice a difference in Joe and the way he prepared for that game compared to other, because you guys went to Final Fours, went to other regional finals. Did you notice a difference in Joe preparing for that game versus other big games?
I was just a freshman that year, and of course, towards the end of my freshman year, we were in the, I guess, had just beat Indiana in the Sweet 16. So now we played the original dream game in the Elite Eight. And as a freshman, I just remember it just being really weird because we were in Stokely gym down in Tennessee with all of the orange, and half of the arena was blue and half of the arena was red. It's funny that you mentioned that game. The governor at that time, John Y. Brown, I just saw him literally about a week ago at the pharmacy. And we were talking about that game. He was the governor at that time, and right before the game started, he came out and walked out of the tunnel. He had on a jacket. It was half blue and half red, a state divided. Of course, that was the first time that we played Louisville, and as Larry would say, it was a weird vibe because we were playing against Louisville at Tennessee. As Larry said, we didn't win a whole lot at Tennessee. I think it was just something about that crazy, all of that orange down in Stokely. But it was a great game. I mean, went back and forth the whole game. And it went into overtime. And in overtime, they outscored us, to 12-2 and blew us out. Louisville went on to the Final Four that year, and of course we went home. And then the next year, because of the success of that game, the crowd, the atmosphere, the schools got together, and next year the rivalry was born. So we lost that very first game, but we came back the next year. We played Louisville the opening game of my sophomore year at Kentucky. We beat them about 20 points in the Rupp Arena, and we played them again in the tournament in Rupp Arena in the Sweet 16. So we got revenge on them. this time. And then the rivalry went back and forth up until a couple of years ago, which we've dominated Louisville here like the last 10 or 12 years. But Louisville has some great teams, and Kentucky was continuing a policy that Adolph Rupp had carried on for years, that we didn't play any in-state teams. And I think Coach Hall held on to that for so long. But after we played that original dream game, I don't care what Coach Hall had said at that point, we had something special at that point. And it's kind of ironic to me that Coach Hall didn't want to play that game, but he played it, became a big rivalry. And the strange thing happened along the way, that Joby Hall and Denny Crum became very good friends over the years. And I never would have thought that when that original dream game happened.
Kenny, the second game, I really think the second game I'm going to mention is probably the one that comes up the most. It's formally known as the 1984 SEC Championship game. Informally, it's known as the game Kenny Walker made Charles Barkley cry.
Yes. Never get tired of that story. I love Charles Barkley. Auburn was a top school on my list with the University of Georgia and Kentucky that I actually considered going to. And when I was being recruited by Auburn in high school, Chuck Person and I was in high school, and Barkley was trying to get both of us to come to Auburn. He said, man, if you guys come to Auburn, we can beat Kentucky. And I thought about it. It was close to my home, but after I visited Kentucky, I knew I was coming to Kentucky. So Charles used to always rib me about going to Kentucky. And the night before I made the game-winning shot against Auburn to win that SEC championship, I don't know if I ever told you this, Larry, but the night before we played against the University of Alabama in the semifinals, and I had the worst shooting game in my whole career at Kentucky. I was 1 of 12 from the field. And I'm a career like 59% field goal per shooter. Had a bad game. So we played a championship game against Auburn, and I'm having an okay game, but we got Sam Bowie, we got Melvin Turpin, we got Jim Master, Dickie Bill, Winston Bennett. We're loaded with talent. So the game is tied at 49, at 49-49 with 8 seconds to go in the ball game. We have the ball. Coach Hall calls a timeout. And I was surprised in that huddle when he's drawing up this play. He's saying, they probably think we're going to go to Melvin, go to Sam, go to Jim, one of our seniors. He said, Kenny, but we're going to come to you. Man, my eyes got that big because I'm going, man, I had a terrible night last night. He said, they're not going to expect for you to make this shot. He said, we're going to run a double screen on the baseline. You want to curl on the baseline and come at the top of the tee, top of the key. And when you catch the ball, you're going to have probably about 2 or 3 seconds left on the shot clock. He said, you're going to make this shot, we're going to win the game, and that's going to be it. So when he said that, I mean, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to make this shot. I'm not thinking anything else. Still a little surprised that he's calling the play for me. And I wish I could tell you I came off of this baseline. I wish I could tell you that I curled around to the top of the key and I switched it. But it's the ugliest shot that I think I made in my career. It was a line drive. It hit the front of the rim. I had enough spin on it. It bounced up maybe about 2 or 3 feet above the rim, and it switched back through as time ran out. And the very first person out on the court to congratulate me was Joby Hall and Bill Kitely, the equipment manager at the time. That shot, I made a lot of other big shots in my career, but that's the shot that put me on the map. And I will be forever known as the guy that made Charles Barkley cry. And I'm happy about that, and I like Charles. I let him know about it after the game. Matter of fact, I saw him at the SEC tournament probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and I still let him know about it. So.
And that's what the fans and callers call it.
That's the greatest memory.
Kenny, I want to fast forward a little bit. You went to the NBA. You were a lottery pick for the New York Knicks, and your first big moment in the NBA was when you won the slam dunk contest in Houston. As Tiffany mentioned, you beat hometown hero Clyde Drexler in the final round. He gave you a little bit of advice at the beginning to calm your nerves a little bit, and you really came on and you won it. It was a wonderful weekend, but it was a bittersweet weekend. Do you mind talking? It's a little personal, because it's a bittersweet weekend.
No, I mean, this is part of my legacy, you know, and it was bittersweet to win that dunk contest because two days prior to the dunk contest, my father passed away. And it was kind of ironic. I was playing for the New York Knicks, you know, at the time, and we was playing our final game before the All-Star break on that Thursday night in Atlanta, Georgia. And kind of ironic, Rick Pitino was my head coach of the New York Knicks before he came to Kentucky. So I was getting ready to go get on the bus and play my final game before flying out to Houston for the All-Star weekend. One of my brothers came up for the game, and right before I was getting ready to get on the bus, he got a phone call from my family at home and said that my father had passed away. So I told Rick Pitino as I was getting ready to get on the bus, and Rick Pitino said, "Hey, Kenny, go home. Don't worry about this game. Go be with your family. You know, don't worry about the dunk contest and all of that, and just go hang out with your family." And that's exactly what I was going to do. So when I went home, to my mom's surprise, she was like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Well, you know, got the word, just came here to hang out with the family and everything." She said, "Are you going to go out and do that dunk contest?" And I said, "Well, I don't know if I can do it." She said, "You're going to go do that dunk contest." She said, "Because if your father was here, he would have been right there in front of the TV watching you play." She said, "We got everything here." She said, "Just go out and do your thing." So I don't know if I would have done the dunk contest if it hadn't been for my mom. So I went out, obviously a heavy heart, you know, I mean, trying to focus and get ready for a dunk contest was the last thing on my mind. And, you know, my first couple of dunks in the dunk contest, I was real nervous and I didn't do the dunks that I wanted to do. The guy that I beat in the finals of the dunk contest, Clyde Drexler, a great college player at the University of Houston, great player in the NBA, second only to Michael Jordan in terms of dunking at that time. He came up to me early in the dunk contest. He said, "Kenny, I know you got a lot on your mind and stuff." He said, "But you gotta get your legs going and your arms flying, and you gotta be spectacular on your dunk. That's how you're gonna win over the judges." So after that advice that he gave me, I kind of picked up my momentum and I got through the first and second round, and I had to dunk against him in the final round. The great Clyde Drexler in his home state of Houston. He was a superstar in the NBA, and I was just an up-and-coming player only in my second or third year in the NBA, and nobody gave me a chance to win that dunk contest. But that momentum that I built up in that final round was just absolutely unbelievable. I'm Scott Walker, but I have never jumped that high on that day in my life. I was doing dunks that I didn't even know that I can do. So when you think you're down in a dark period and you can't do anything, that's when you can do some amazing things. So that was the thing that I impressed myself with, because I didn't think I had that in me at that time. Of course, it meant a little bit more to me probably than everybody else that was dunking on that day. But I remember in the final round, you know, at that time you only got 3 dunks that you had to compete in each round. You didn't have all of these misses that they do today. But in the final round, Clyde Drexler missed all 3 of his dunks. So the only thing I had to do in the final round was just get a couple of dunks in, so it took a little pressure off. But I was thinking as he was missing those dunks, he missed all 3 of them. I said, "That's my dad in heaven, blocking those shots out there and helping me preserve that win." But that, you know, it wasn't a basketball game, but it was probably the biggest thing that I did in my NBA career. And I'm probably more known for that. It still brings tears to my eyes to this day when they mention Kenny Skywalker, 1989, you know. You mentioned with Dr. J, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Vince Carter, Dominique Wilkins, some of the greatest dunkers to ever play this game. And I'm right there with them. So I'll never forget that.
That's a great story. I was talking to my wife Laura this morning. She's like, "How did Kenny get the Sky?" She said, I know why they call you Skywalker. Who gave you the Skywalker nickname?
Well, I'm torn. But it was either Sam Bowie or Leonard Hamilton. And the reason why I say that was when I first came to Kentucky, we did the very first Big Blue Madness. It was called Midnight Madness at that time. You had to wait until midnight in order to come out to do your midnight match, some NCAA rule. So we had about 12,000 people there, and that's the most people that I had played in front of in my life. I had played in the McDonald's All-American game in Chicago, maybe 9,000 people there. But my high school gym only held maybe 2,000 people, if that. So I come out here for this Big Blue Madness. Me and Roger Harden, who was freshman at that time, we saw all of these people lining up at Memorial Coliseum 6 or 8 hours before the Big Blue Madness. We're both looking out our dorm saying, we can't believe all of these people are coming to a Big Blue Madness. So we were both nervous, and I'm excited. So when we come out, we're doing some layups, you know, just to kind of get warmed up and everything. Then one of the older guys, I think Charles Hurt, went in and threw down a dunk, and then, you know, everybody started to dunk. So I started to do a few dunks. Nobody had ever seen me dunk before. Well, with every dunk that I did, it got louder and louder. And the momentum and the adrenaline that I was feeling, I was doing dunks on that night that I've never done before either, you know. It was just an amazing show, and the reception that I got was amazing. So after the Big Blue Madness, I think I was talking to Jerry Tipton, who, believe it or not, he was writing for the Lexington Herald-Leader back then. He was like, man, have you ever always been able to dunk like that? I was like, yeah, pretty much so. And before I can answer the question, I could hear Sam Bowie and Leonard Hamilton saying, the only somebody I ever seen dunk like that was Dominique Wilkins. Said that guy was like a Skywalker. One of them said it. I don't know which one it was, but the name pretty much stuck from day one. Skywalker was born. Now, little kids today think that I'm named after Luke Skywalker from Star Wars, but that's the original Skywalker. That's where the name came from.
Okay, I think we'll give the folks here a chance to ask a question here in a minute or two, but I got to ask you about this year's team. You wore number 34. Oscar Sheway wears number 34, so he's making you guys look good. I mean, like, in many ways, I mean, one of the best jersey numbers, most productive numbers in UK basketball history. Oscar's a lot like you in a lot of ways. He's got a chance to be a National Player of the Year, first team All-American, and he's one of the rare guys in this era that might come back and play next year. Yeah. So what are your thoughts about Oscar and about this team's chances to win a national championship?
You gotta love Oscar. You gotta love somebody that, you know, gives God all of the credit, plays hard each and every night, plays the game with a smile on his face. He loves to play the game. And when you work as hard as he works every night, you know, one thing that makes me smile when people talk about my career, they say, man, nobody worked as hard as you did. Well, we found the guy that's working just as hard as I did, and maybe even more so, because he's rebounding the ball way better than I've, you know, ever rebounded the basketball. Haywood Lefford and Ralph Hacker, when they call our game, when they mention my name, they used to always say number 34 on the court, but number 1 in your heart. So Oscar is number 34 on the court, but he's number 1 in all of our hearts in terms of his effort and the way that he approaches the game. Look, I know everybody's anticipating him coming back. Of course, I would love to see him come back, but I'll be shocked and surprised with the way that he's playing. He's a second-round pick right now, which I can't believe, but by the time this is all said and done, I think he's going to be a first-round pick, and if he is, he's probably got to go but I would love to see him come and represent that number 34 out on the court one more time.
Now, Kenny, you've been to a Final Four. You know what special teams look like. National champions have a quality about them that when you look back after they win it, you say, we should have seen those signs early on. When you look at this team, do you see things about them that say, there's something unique here? This is more than just a good team. There's a unique quality to this team that you have to win a national championship.
I think the biggest thing that I see, Coach Calipari has always been an outstanding recruiter, and he brought the one and done thing here to Kentucky, which was very successful in his first 6 or 7 years here at Kentucky. He's done it better than anybody ever, and that's including the coach at Duke that gets a lot of credit for the one and done. But Coach Calipari was doing it for a long, long time. The biggest difference that I see, Larry, and you and I talk about this all the time, is that with this year's team, transfers like Oscar and Grady coming in, and then you got Keon Brooks, who's a junior. You got Toppin, who's come back. Mintz, an extra year. The experience that we have is the one quality that I think that Coach Calipari hasn't consistently had. When he did have experienced players like, Darius Miller and some of those guys on the first couple of teams that he took over, we went to Final Four, and of course we won a championship when he had experienced players. That's the thing that I like about this team the most. You can have talented players, but sometimes when you get into the NCAA tournament, it's a little bit different. You lose and you go home. And sometimes those talented freshmen, they might hit the wall a little bit, they might get a little tight. And the guys that get you through tournaments are the guys who've been through the wars, that have been through the tournament a few times. I think I'm more excited that we got a lot of guys that are battle tested. We got a lot of experience. And I like the personality of these guys. We're not talking about who's going to the NBA or whatever. We're talking about Kentucky legitimately trying to win a championship this year. Outside of Ty Washington, he's the only person that we've been talking about possibly going to the NBA. So I see a team that's focused on trying to win a championship. And I think as a fan, that's what we want to see. I don't care how many guys go to the NBA, 10 guys, 1 guy. I want to win a championship, and I think that should be the most important.
If you have a question for Kenny, you can raise your hand. Tiffany, I think, has the microphone there, and we'll give you a chance to ask Kenny a question. Maybe a guy that you looked up playing and admired his play. So if you have a question, you're welcome to ask him a question. We're going to ask you a question about this team or something about his career. Feel free, and so we'll give people a chance to maybe line up and get a question, Kenny. You look at Severe Wheeler, you did mention him about the uniqueness of Kentucky in that backcourt with Severe and Ty. It's a guards game really at the NCAA tournament level, and with Kentucky's 2-point guards, they seem very well equipped in that regard also.
It's always good when you have a couple of guys that can run the team. I didn't know Ty was as good a point guard. You heard of all kinds of things about him coming in, but you just never know what you're going to get with freshmen sometimes. But Wheeler has always been outstanding to me. He was good at Georgia. He just played on a bad team. He led the SEC in assists. But you didn't know how he would translate, playing with better players. Been pleasantly surprised with how well Wheeler has played because he's only, they list him at 5'8".
He's shorter than I am.
Yeah, he might be 5'5", but he's a very smart player. He needs to improve his outside shot, I think, a little bit. But I've been very pleasantly surprised, with the way that he runs the team. And but I've been pleasantly surprised, how well we've been able to play without Wheeler and Ty Washington, which tells you the depth that we got on this team. I think I'm more concerned with just getting everybody healthy right now. Of course, Wheeler and Washington missed 2 games. They came back the last game. They struggled a little bit. Maybe stamina was a little bit off, chemistry was a little off, but I expect for them both to play much better tonight. But the fact that we got 2 guys that can run the point guard position gives me a lot of confidence in this team that when we get in those tough, close games in the NCAA tournament, we got a couple of guys that can guide us through those tough situations. So I feel pretty good about that.
Tiffany, you have a question?
Right here.
Hey there, Kenny, Larry. I was just wondering, Kenny, do you ever have the opportunity, do the Kentucky coaches ever seek out some of the legends such as yourself to help mentor the young players?
That's a good question. Of course, Larry and I get asked that all the time. You know, Kenny, do you go over and talk to the guys? And do you go to practice and everything? And first of all, I would like to say Coach Calipari has been very good to me and a lot of former players. We get a chance to go to practice, and he does open up his door to us, and he gives us an opportunity to mentor the kids and talk to them, you know, because he realizes that, you know, guys like myself, Rex Chapman, Sam Bowie, we've had a lot of guys that have played in the NBA and obviously played at Kentucky and dealt with all of that pressure and high expectations. So he trusts us to talk to those guys. So, but I try not to overstep my boundaries. I'm there, you know, but I try to let these kids, you know, shine. Maybe too much to a fault. Sometimes I do see things and kind of reluctant to speak up sometimes because I think they need to, you know, figure it out on their own, because sometimes there's added pressure when you got the old heads, you know, like myself, trying to tell the coaches what to do. But I got a good balance, I think, with Coach Calipari, when to talk and when to kind of be quiet and let them figure it out. But to have an opportunity to still be around it and still be a part of it, I give Coach Calipari a lot of credit for that.
So who is your all-time favorite Kentucky player and why?
Woo! That's a good one. Well, I'm going to have to cheat now because it's hard for me to pick out just one. And there's so many, but I'm going to probably do this. The guy that I respect, you know, the most, and a guy that's been a mentor, you know, for me, really it's 2 guys, Jack Gibbons and Dan Nelson. And it's kind of interesting, you know, on the all-time scoring list, I'm sandwiched in between both of those guys. Dan is number 1, I'm number 2, and Jack is number 3 on all-time career scoring at UK. All great guys, and we all scored over 2,000 points in our careers. So I have the utmost respect for those guys because I know how difficult, you know, it is to achieve what they achieve and to deal with that pressure. Now, Jack has the one thing that Dan and I don't have. Jack has that NCAA championship ring that he brags about all the time. So Dan and I can brag about scoring more points than Jack can. But those are the 2 guys that come to mind. And then the other 2 guys that I got really close to over the years that I really like and respect is Rex Chapman and Jamal Mashburn. Of course, Jamal Mashburn, if he would have stayed all 4 years, he would have easily be the all-time leading scorer at the University of Kentucky. And if it hadn't been for a knee injury that ended his NBA career, I think a little bit earlier, you talking about not one of the all-time greats in college, but the pros as well. I respect, you know, a lot of guys, any kid or anybody that put on that Kentucky uniform, you got to be one tough guy. You know, you don't have to be an all-time leading scorer to feel the pressure and the high expectation. And the fact that I had the type of career that I had to be mentioned with the guys that I just mentioned, I think it's an honor and a blessing.
Let's go over to the left. Tiffany's over here. 2 more questions.
Kenny, we lost a great legend, BBN, this year with Coach Hall. Can you talk a little bit about some of the mannerisms or things that were unique about him as Blue Blazer, or the rolled-up program, things of that nature?
You know what? I can't speak enough of Joe B. Hall. You know, unfortunately, I wasn't around Kentucky basketball when Coach Rupp coached and right after he retired. Obviously, Coach Adolph Rupp is a legend. And anytime that you're following a legend, you usually don't do too well following somebody that big. Coach Hall not only did, you know, well in terms of winning and representing the program. He eventually won that championship in 1978, went to several other Final Fours, but underrated and underappreciated coach. But I can honestly tell you, he was a better person than he was a coach. And I got to know Coach Hall a whole lot better after he retired, once all of the pressure and everything was gone. And I really got to know the man. And I really appreciated the way that he represented the program, because it was a difficult time, not only at Kentucky, but, you know, throughout the South, you know, integrating a program and trying to change the culture of a program. Coach Hall was not only trying to follow a legend and be successful, but he was dealing with those things as well. Never complained about anything, even though Coach Rupp, after he retired, was kind of critical of the way that Coach Hall did things. He never said anything bad about Coach Rupp and always handled himself in a professional manner. To sum up Coach Hall, the person, when I played at UK, Coach Hall had a team policy. We always had to be clean shaved, and we had to wear a coat and ties when we travel on the road for games. And I think after my sophomore year at Kentucky, I asked Coach Hall, I said, Coach Hall, I see all of these other teams are traveling and they're wearing sweatsuits and jeans. We're just kids. Why can't we wear, you know, what they wearing? And he looked at me and he said, son, I understand what you're saying. He said, but if you look good, you play good. If you look like a team, you play like a team. If you look united and together, you're going to play that way. And he always said, you never know who's watching you when you're out on that court or when you're traveling, in the way that you carry yourself. It's a certain image that you need to have, and a certain personality in a certain way that you had to be. And I didn't really understand that until you broke it down to me, so I always thought about that. If you look good, you play good. If you look professional, you're going to be, you know, accepted as being a very professional, you know, person. And those are just, you know, little lessons when I think about Joe B. Hall, the type of man and type of person that he was. And my only disappointment was 1984. We went to the Final Four. And Larry, I'm glad you didn't mention this game, but I'll mention this game. I never felt so bad for Joe B. Hall in 1984. This was the year that he was supposed to win his second championship. We played Georgetown, who had a great player by the name of Patrick Ewing, who I played with the New York Knicks years after I left Kentucky. But that was Joe B. Hall's best chance to win a national championship. And halftime of this semifinal game, we're up by 7 points. We're feeling pretty good that we're going to win a championship. I do not know what happened in the second half of that ball game. We shot 3 for 33 in the second half, 9.1%, with Sam Bowie, Melvin Turpin, and myself, all of these great players. We only shot 9% in the second half, and we lost that championship. And I remember the criticism that Coach Hall got after that game. Everybody, how can you lose a championship with Sky Walker, Sam Bowie, Melvin Turpin, all of these great players? But it seemed like somebody put a lid on that basket, you know, in the second half, and we came up just a tad bit short. And it's funny that I had all of these great games, but that's one game that I'll never forget, because if we could have won that game, that would have separated Joe B. Hall from Rick Pitino Calipari and Tubby Smith, it would have gave Coach Hall 2 championships instead of the 1.
Tiffany, one more question? Go ahead, sir.
Hey, Kenny, big fan. You're one of the first Wildcats I remember as a kid. I've been a fan of you my whole life. Two-part question. One's real short. Is Shaden Sharp coming back next year?
Well, I would hope that he would, but I'm going to be honest with you. What worries me about that, he is projected, without even playing a game at Kentucky, to be the number 7 overall pick in the NBA draft. But I know most fans say, well, if he's that good, why is he not playing? Because he's going to go anyway. I don't think they don't want to risk the chance of playing in case he doesn't play well. Then his stock slips down a little bit. That's the only rationale that I can come up with. So outside of that, I just cross my fingers that both he and Oscar will come back next year, but we got to wait and see on that.
All right, second part is, do you think Jordan is the GOAT? And if he is, would he still average double figures today? The mayor kind of wanted to know that, so I got to throw that in there for the mayor.
He is 59, so.
Yeah. You know, for the modern age people, I always ask, answer it this way, because most of the time people say the GOAT is between LeBron and Michael Jordan. I actually think the GOAT of all time is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. From the standpoint that he won so many championships in high school, he won 3 championships in college. It would have been 4, but college players couldn't play then. And then he won 6 in the NBA, all-time leading scorer. And Kareem had the most unstoppable shot in the history of basketball. It's boring, the sky hook. 3-point shot is more exciting. But I think it's Kareem. But to answer your question between Jordan and LeBron, to me, I love LeBron. LeBron is bigger, stronger. In a lot of ways, he's a better all-around player than Michael Jordan. But it's just something about Jordan. He went to 6 finals, never lost. LeBron James has come up short when the game is on the line and tough situations. With Michael Jordan, you knew he was going to get the ball at the end of the game. And then it wasn't a damn thing that you can do to stop him. You knew he was going to shoot. And the majority of the time he would shoot and make it. And then later on in his career, he started passing and trusting his teammates a little bit better. I love LeBron James. I think it's hard to compare eras, but I think if you are being honest and truthful, now, if LeBron James wins another couple of championships, he'll pass Kareem in the all-time leading scorer. When his career is over with in 4 or 5 years, maybe I'll put him a little bit ahead of Jordan. But as of right now, I'm going to give a slight edge to Michael Jordan.
Folks, thanks for coming out today. I really appreciate it. I know Kenny appreciates it as well. And if you want more, you can listen to our post-game show tonight. It will be on as soon as the game ends on 590 WVLK. Get the app, or you can stream it, all of that. And with that said, we'll turn it back over to Tiffany.
Yeah, wasn't that awesome, guys?
Thank you.
Before you guys leave, we'd like to present you with a friend of the chamber certificate for each one of you. So I'd like to get my picture taken with you guys. Giving you these.
Okay. Yeah, you stand in the middle. Yeah, here.
Yeah.
We'll help you out here. Okay. Okay. That's okay. That's okay. All right. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, go ahead. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Definitely think that was one of our better luncheons we've had in 10 years. So let's give them one more hand. Okay, next we are going to give away our door prizes if you want to get your tickets out. Okay, 20% off M&W Printing. We got 5194. Are y'all watching? Oh, right here. Okay. We have a $20 off R&B dry cleaner certificate, and that is 5063. Oh, John Alexander. Yep. Yeah, we're supposed to be enthusiastic. Okay, next is a Buffalo Wings and Rings gift card, $25. 5191. Just one of those, right? Oh, good. Yeah, we have a Hardee's gift card for $20. Hardee's South gift card. And that is 5252. Oh, right here in the back, guys. And we have Slim Chickens gift card, $25. 5067. Anybody? No? Huh? Okay, we'll do another. Gotta be loud. 5230. All right. And Unite Us gift set for $50. And that is 5244. Right here in the back, guys. Okay. We have 2 UK fan gift bags from Don Franklin Family of Dealerships. So the first one is 5249. Right over here. And the second is 5071. Oh, all the way in the back. All right, Chick-fil-A gift basket. That's going to 5112. The back. All right. Thank you. And we have an EKU mug and umbrella from Eastern Kentucky University. That's 4029. 4029. Anybody? No? All right, we'll try it again. 4532. Okay, and then we have 2 catering tray gift cards from Chick-fil-A, and I'll draw each of those from your business cards. Barry Begley from Lake Point Resort. Are you here? No? All right, we'll try again. Lucas and Jim Bates from Pro Trade. All right. And then one more. Rakai Pryor from Citizens Bank. Sorry, Citizens Bank. My bad. I know, it's hard. Okay. And then, all right, that's it. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So our next luncheon will be on April 5th at noon, Campbellsville University. President Dr. Joseph Hopkins will be our speaker. And I was going to ask my friend and fellow board member, Laura Glover, to lead our pledge, please. If you could stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everybody.